Guys, and welcome back to another video. For this video we are looking at units of measurement. So because we're doing measurement, we're talking about measuring length or distance, so that's what we're doing today. So we have different ways we can measure a distance, different units we call it. So we have millimeters, centimeters, meters, kilometers. Now this is what we use in Australia, so don't get it confused with inches or feet or yard. This is what we use. We do have other units of measurement when we're looking at things like a paddock, a big paddock of a farm. We do use different measurements a little bit. Okay, so let's talk about what the appropriate unit is here. So I want you to pause it. I want you to write down the appropriate unit you would use for each of these 5 things. So what you might have said was a tissue box could be measured in centimetres. The length of your foot might be measured in centimetres. The distance you travel to school, you're probably measuring that in kilometres. Some of you might be able to measure it in metres if you live only like 500 metres down the road. But the distance around a football field is in metres, and the length of an ant is in probably, I think I wanted to say millimetres, not centimetres there. So you'd say probably in millimetres for an ant. Now, sometimes you can use 2 different types of measurements. So we could use the example of doing the 1500 metre race. So 1500 metre race, yes, you're running 1500 metres, but you could also say you're running 1.5 Ks, or kilometres. So you can use 2 different types of units of measurement, but remember it's the most appropriate. Okay, so if it's a lot of that unit, you typically would go up to the next one if you've got more than, so 1,000 metres is a kilometre. So once I started getting over the 1,000 metre mark, I'd probably start saying kilometres. Now, we're going to look at converting between units. So we're going to look at converting from kilometres to metres, metres to centimetres, centimetres to millimetres, and then back the other way. So if we want to work out kilometres to metres, we're going to multiply by 1,000 because there's 1,000 metres in 1 kilometre. Now, in 1 metre, if we looked at our 1 metre ruler, there's 100 centimetres there. So we times by 100 because 1 metre equals 100 centimetres. Now, 1 centimetre, if you look on your ruler again, has 10 millimetres, so we multiply by 10 because 1 centimetre multiplied by 10 gives us 10 millimetres. Okay, so now we can start to look at going back the other way. So we're going from a small unit to a bigger unit. So if we're saying that there's 10 millimetres make up 1 centimetre, we're going to divide by 10. 100 centimetres make up 1 metre, so we're going to divide by 100. And 1,000 metres make up 1 kilometre, so we're going to divide by 1,000. Let's do some examples. So 5 centimetres equals how many millimetres? So centimetres to millimetres, we're multiplying by 10, and 5 times 10 gives us, so we move the decimal point 1 place. Now, we learnt this the other day when we looked at multiplying and dividing by multiples of 10. So we move the decimal point 1 place to the right, which gives us 50. 62 kilometres to metres, so there's 1,000 metres in 1 kilometre, so we're going to multiply by 1,000. So we're moving the decimal point 3 places to the right. So we're going to end up with 62,000 metres. Now, 0.54 metres, and we're going to change that into centimetres. So metres to centimetres, there's 100 centimetres in 1 metre, so we're multiplying by 100. So we're moving the decimal point 2 places to the right, so we end up with 54 centimetres. Now let's do the other way. So 6,250 metres converted into kilometres. So we're going to divide by 1,000 here. So we're moving the decimal point 3 places to the left, remembering that that decimal point is at the end here, and we're going to move it 1, 2, 3 places, so we end up with 6.25 kilometres. Again, 59.2 centimeters into meters. There's 100 centimeters in a meter, so we're dividing by 100. We're going to move that decimal point 3 places to the left. So we end up, 2 places, so we end up with 0.592 meters. Now 4.7 kilometers into centimeters. So this one's a little bit more challenging because we're essentially going through meters to centimeters. So what we do is we're going to turn this kilometers into meters first. So because we're going from a big unit to a smaller unit, we're multiplying by 1,000, which gives us 4,700 meters. Now, I want to go to centimeters. There's 100 centimeters in 1 meter, so I'm multiplying by 100. So I'm moving it another 2 places. Now, if I look at where the decimal point started, it started here, because we can see that here, and we moved 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 decimal points. And if we look here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 5 zeros as well. So that's how we'd know what we'd multiply by. So we'd move the decimal point 5 places to the right. Now you can do it by the steps that we did, taking it slower. But if you're more confident, you might feel like you can do it by just finding how many zeros there are. Fantastic. If you have any questions, make sure you ask and get into some practice. Thanks, guys.